Welcome back to Get Down to Business. I am back with the founder and the CEO of Captivated Health. Mark Gaunya joins us here on Get Down to Business. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Shalom. Nice to be with you. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to have you, and I've been looking forward to this conversation. So let's talk about Captivated Health. Your tagline is "The greatest wealth is health." So how did you get into this, and what is the problem that you are endeavoring to solve?
So the problem we're endeavoring to solve is, first of all, I'll back up and say that the area of focus that I pay attention to is employee benefits. And specifically, if you look at health insurance, which employers sponsor as part of their benefits package for their employees, my organization focuses on organizations that invest $1 million a year or more into their health benefits on behalf of their employees. When you look across the country in the private health insurance market, roughly 50 million people get their health insurance for employers between the sizes of 50 employees and 500 employees, which represents about $380 billion of spend in our country. It's a significantly fragmented market. That particular market segment is one that's overcharged for the risk that it presents. And more importantly, and probably where my passion comes from, is to really help the consumer navigate this complex healthcare system so that they can get the highest quality care at the lowest possible price and not have it be a hassle when it's already emotionally challenging.
Absolutely fantastic. And you, if I understand correctly, Captivated Health is a division of a Massachusetts-based company that has clients across the United States. So how has your parent company, why Captivated Health? Again, let's go into that unique value proposition over here. Why do our listeners need to know about Captivated Health, and why are you making a difference across the country, especially in this critical time?
So the name of the organization, our parent company, is Borslow Insurance. That's BORISLOW Insurance. And that's where you could actually find out more information about what we're doing. We are a traditional, what you would call brokerage and consulting firm, a regional brokerage and consulting firm that takes care of roughly 40,000 employees and their family members. All told in our book of business are about 100,000 people all across the country as a result of the employee benefits they get through their employers. We do a lot of work with private schools, charter schools, boarding schools, day schools, many college prep schools, I guess is probably what the best you would call it. We had three groups of schools that were purchasing collectively in 3 states, one in Maine, one in New Hampshire, and one in Massachusetts. And as a result of the Affordable Care Act, those purchasing consortiums were going to be significantly damaged. So they were looking for us to come up with a solution. So this Captivated Health started from a desire to help our current clients figure out how they could take more control of their healthcare plan, not have to be concerned with the state line barriers that exist in the way they were purchasing insurance collectively before, and then ultimately help them create their own insurance company where they're the ones who are in control. They're the ones who govern the community, and what we are is the Intel chip inside helping them run that community. And the amazing thing about it, Shalom, and I think the most powerful thing that the community has created, when I say community now, we're up to 30 organizations with 5,000 employees and 10,000 people, belly buttons. So while that may not seem significant, it is significant in the sense that you're now helping 30 organizations collectively take the risk of offering health insurance and healthcare benefits to their employees, but more importantly, now taking control to make sure that their employees are getting the highest quality care at the lowest possible price point. And when you see the collaboration, we've been doing this now for 7 years. And when you see the collaboration of the first stage of, I don't understand what you're talking to me about. I don't even understand the language. So imagine a time when you've traveled to a foreign country and you don't know the language, and you take out your little book and you're trying to read the book while someone's conversing with you. It's a very difficult thing to do. Over time, they learn the language, and now they're able to have a conversation with each other, and we become actually less important as the guide and ultimately stand at their side and help them realize the healthcare future that they want for their employees and their family members, which are their most important asset. So the real specific answer to your question, if you look at health insurance, it is the number 2 expense on every business owner's profit and loss statement. Second largest behind payroll, and it grows 4 to 5 times faster than any other. So it eats margin. If you're a non-for-profit organization, no margin means no mission. If you're a for-profit organization, less margin means unhappy shareholders. So either way, it's a challenge. And what we do is help these employers take control of that uncontrolled line item, really squeeze the efficiency out of that line item so that they improve the experience and the quality, but also save money that they can redeploy back into other areas of their business.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm chatting with Mark Gaunya, who is the CEO of Captivated Health, which was founded in 2014. It's a division of Barstow Insurance. And we're going to squeeze in a break in a moment, and we'll talk a little bit more about the impact, because ultimately that's what it is all about, the impact that's being provided. So, Mark, in our remaining few seconds over here, where can people learn more about Captivated Health and get in touch with your team?
So they can go to www.borislow.com. So that's BORISLOW.com and www.captivatedhealth.com.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, when we return, we're going to talk. I know you put this all over your website, which we'll send our listeners to. You talk all about the impact that you are having. So we'll continue that conversation and talk about some of the growth plans over the coming years. But again, chatting with Mark Gaunya from Captivated Health. More Get Down to Business when we return. Get on my website, shalomklein.com. Again, quick break. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. I'm returning with Mark Gaunya from Captivated Health. We've been chatting all about the work that they're doing and the story behind their work, which is not just a business. It's truly, it sounds like a labor of love in trying to make a difference for people. So all over on your website, Mark, you talk about how has Captivated Health impacted Joe, and I love that. That's a fictitious customer, but there's a lot of very real people that you've been able to help. Tell us some of those stories and some of those examples.
Sure. And again, thank you for having me on the program. Significantly appreciate the opportunity to share the message of how we're helping to make healthcare easier and more affordable for people. So Joe is a fictitious consumer, but it really represents the masses when you think about it. Today, our healthcare environment, the challenge behind it is there's a lack of transparency. If you think about healthcare, it's the only product or service we buy that we don't have access to price or quality before we make a buying decision. And so with that as a backdrop, Joe is frustrated because Joe doesn't know what to do when he gets hurt. So let's create a fictitious character of Joe in his 40s, working for an employer with 100 employees. And Joe is a relatively healthy guy, but he has multiple sclerosis that he takes medication for on an everyday basis to live his life. And the cost of his medication is about $69,000 a year for him to take that medication, but that's not as out of pocket because he has insurance. Joe is also very active. He plays basketball. He's very athletic. He's a weekend warrior. That's what I would call Joe. But Joe hurts his shoulder, and Joe is then diagnosed and told that he needs to get rotator cuff surgery. So there's two examples of Joe being a relatively healthy individual, has to take a chronic medication, but he's very active and takes care of his life, but he gets hurt. In the current environment, Joe's drug to treat his MS is a drug called Tecfidera, and it's made in a foreign country, an English-speaking foreign country, overseas. And that drug over there costs $17,000 for an annual supply. But over here in the United States, it costs $69,000 for the exact same drug. Gee, I wonder why that's the case. Because those prices are elevated because we're essentially subsidizing the rest of the world. Now, Joe learns this through our Captivated Health education process because we recognize that the healthcare literacy rate in this country, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, is 14%, which essentially means 9 out of 10 people who are operating the healthcare system have no idea. Remember the conversation we had about the language? They have no idea how to navigate the system. But through our concierge service, which operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, when healthcare happens to Joe, he can have a conversation or tap and swipe the app. In this case, Joe finds out that we have a medication program that, allows him as a consumer to import his medication directly to his home, coordinating with his doctor and his pharmacist. But the cost of that medication is significantly less expensive, as I just shared with you. So Joe's employer says, Joe, if you do that, and you don't have to, by the way, because our whole system is about you making your own choices, that I'm going to financially give you an incentive. If you do that, I'll waive your $2,000 deductible. You will? Why would you do that? Well, you see, Joe, I want you to get your medication. I don't want the cost of your medication to be a challenge for you. And I'm also taking the risk on paying for the cost of your medication because we self-insure and finance our health insurance plan. So I would save as an employer about $50,000. Wow. So I get my medication, I don't have any out of pocket, and I save the company money. Well, why wouldn't I do this? I don't know, Joe. Why wouldn't you do this? The second example would be Joe needing to get surgery, and we have a second opinion service where Joe can tap and swipe the app and get a second opinion service about the care and treatment that he can get. And he finds out that he actually doesn't need rotator cuff surgery, that he needs physical therapy, which helped him avoid $15,000 of surgical costs and a long recovery process.
So in a nutshell, Mark, quite an impact on Joe, which is huge. Again, I've been chatting with Mark Gaunya from Captivated Health. We shared your website a moment ago, but let's do it one more time for our listeners.
So the website, there are two of them, Borslow, www.borislow.com, and www.captivatedhealth.com.
Fantastic. Mark Gaunya from Captivated Health. To success. Let's get down to business. We'll talk to you next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560.